What is up, guys, and welcome back to the All In Podcast with Bad Beat Bryce and Ryan the Rock. How you doing today, Ryan?
Bryce, I'm doing so good, man. Did you know that we are I think we're closing in. Have we reached the 1 year anniversary of the podcast?
You would definitely know that better than me. I'm honestly really horrible with dates and stuff like that, but I think we're about at the 1 year mark. Yeah,
the 1 year mark. I'm just thinking about
That's crazy.
I literally just had that thought as I hit the go live button that we've been doing this for a year now. That's pretty cool. Wow, how far we've come.
Yeah, we are at a place where I honestly did not expect.
Yeah, how far we've come from just streaming on Instagram Live. Good Lord. But ladies and gentlemen, we've come here today with plenty of exciting content for you. We've got a wonderful guest in the background waiting to come on, and we'll introduce him in a second. But first and foremost, we actually wanted to cover probably the lowest hanging fruit in the poker world right now, but Vanessa Cade's $1.5 million cash in the $215 Sunday Millions. She's got quite the story, Bryce. She was signed by GG Poker. She's a poker streamer and content creator. Also, Vanessa, if you're seeing this, we'd love to have you on sometime. And she was, going along, doing her thing, streaming with GG. GG signed Dan Bilzerian as, I guess, kind of a brand ambassador. Weird choice. She wasn't a particularly big fan of that choice and made her voice heard about that. Dan Bilzerian, in Dan Bilzerian form, responded by calling her a hoe. That did not land well with her, and she has gotten what we might call sweet, sweet retribution, because not only did she bank this tournament for a $1.5 million score, but that night, she unsigned from being with GG Poker and signed a new deal with America's Card Room. So she's having herself a day right now. And I saw her on her Instagram story. She posted
that is absolutely savage.
Picture of just the bottles from the end of the night. And I'm like, hey, if I ever win $1.5 million, 100%. The night is chalked. That is, we're going. There's going to be some good times had. Oh, what do you think, Bryce? Holy crap.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually did not know about the fact that she changed sponsorships. I had heard and seen on poker Twitter and basically just all over the poker community that she had banked this tournament, which just it was a $200 and what buy-in? $250, just a massive field. She bested like 70,000 entries. Yeah, that's just insane. Just how big that prize pool was. But yeah, I mean, Dan Bilzerian is kind of a jerk and a bad poker player is my take on him. But yeah, I'm definitely happy for her, and it's good to get that retribution, especially so fast after him calling her a hoe.
Yeah, and look,
I don't know too much about her specifically, but it's definitely awesome.
Dude, and there's already so much momentum right now that's going on around like women in poker. And so now with this, I mean, come on, we have to make this into the Chris Moneymaker moment for females. This is the Chris Moneymaker moment for females. This is a woman who has dedicated her life to the game of poker, and she has finally hit her big cash and had her big moment. And like, I just think this should be a reckoning in the poker community. This is a massive moment for her. And I think this could be, hopefully it is, a massive moment for women in poker. I just hope, because from the previous
absolutely, and I wonder what.
Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. I wonder why exactly it's gotten so much press. Whether it's Dan Bilzerian, I think Dan Bilzerian actually is good for her image. I think that like a lot of people didn't know who she was. And yeah, while it might be annoying to have this pretty well-known celebrity call you a hoe, I think it was probably good for her poker career. And I think no publicity is bad publicity. I think it's probably
right. And I'm sure she looks back here now.
But yeah, definitely awesome for her.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my goodness.
I'm sure absolutely. She looks back now. I don't have too much to talk about on the topic. Yeah, absolutely. Also, sorry, I am lagging a little bit. Don't know what's going on with my Wi-Fi, but I also wanted to congratulate you on your tournament win from this last week. You bested a very good player in the final two. Do you want to talk about that a little bit before we get into our guest?
Yeah, of course. We had a really fun time. If you guys want to join us, by the way, go ahead and just drop a follow to Bad Beat Bryce on Instagram and shoot him a DM. You can hop in the game with us. Very, very easy. Sunday deep stack, 22 people in, nice little 1K guarantee, lots of fun. We made it to the final two in record time. I mean, it took us like an hour and a half-ish, closer to 2 hours to get down to just two players.
No, 2 hours. It is 2 hours.
We were like 100 big blinds deep each to win the match. So it was a real true heads up, sit and go for the last $120 ladder. Oh, that was a real blast. I mean, it took us almost an hour to finish that match.
It was 2 hours until we got to the final table, and then at the 3 hour mark, it was just us. And then that still took about an hour. But it was crazy. There was like 8 lead changes. Congratulations again to you. It's good to see the momentum you've had these last few weeks. I think it's definitely been good on your psyche. Just a complete transformation and momentum. But yeah, other than feeling sick, I've been grinding an insane amount of hours. I probably do not look the best. I've put probably 50 hours in the last like 4 days. Just stupid amounts. Haven't been sleeping much. Do not recommend. But the game's been absolutely nuts in Texas. But yeah, that's kind of an update on what's going on with me. Yeah, right. Like, when are you sleeping? The answer is I am not. But anyways, without further ado, I would love to get into questioning our guest. Very excited for this interview. Absolute poker crusher in Florida. Would you like to have the honor of introducing him?
I will take it away, Bryce. So this week on the All In Poker podcast, we go back again to the wonderful and kind of insane state of Florida to find our next guest. A dual threat cash and tournament player, Dave Nathaniel, aka Hustleman Dave, has in excess of $200,000 in live tournament winnings. He put in some impressive finishes right before the pandemic began, winning a $300K guaranteed Seminole Hard Rock Pinktober main event for almost just under $100K, and placed second in a WSOP circuit event at the Seminole Coconut Creek for $40K. We are so excited to ask Dave about his poker journey and hear more about these amazing tournament runs. Without further ado, let's welcome Hustleman Dave to the podcast.
Hey, what's up, folks?
Welcome, Dave.
Is so dedicated to the grind that he is calling in from the parking lot. What casino are you at? The Seminole Hard Rock right now?
Yes, I'm at the Hard Rock in Hollywood. I'm pretty much there every day.
Give us a shot of the giant guitar.
I cannot, unfortunately. Hold on, I gotta. Yeah, if I walk out of here, I might just be able to. Oh, let me get up.
It's all good if you're in the parking garage.
Like, how the rooms are set up there doesn't make much sense. Oh, he's in the garage. Okay, that's why he can't. I thought you were outside.
I'm literally in the garage.
I love this. We've never had an
I have not been since they renovated it.
Yeah, it's pretty huge. It just sucks because I park on the opposite end.
WinoPoker mining.
I love it.
I know I got to get my steps in. So
good.
All right, let's see if I can. Let's see.
You gotta.
I love this.
All righty.
Sounds good. While you're walking, Ryan, do you want to ask the first question?
Oh, there it is. Okay, it's not the best angle because it's from the side.
That was fast.
It is the weirdest looking building. I love that. So
yeah, you can probably see it like as you're coming down the turnpike, like 30 minutes in. It's pretty big.
Yeah, it's huge. I've seen the shots from like Ryan DePaulo's vlog. You can't miss it. So I dug all the way back in your Instagram to the very, very beginning, and I found your first post from 2013, which had the caption found was rather fitting. It says, "Just trying to get rich, going slow so far." Could you tell us a little bit about the early stages of your poker career and what helped you advance in stakes?
Shit, you went way all the way back. All right.
It was the grainiest picture of $250 in $5 chips, and I was like, "Yep, I've been there."
Yeah, so that was around 2013. I just came back from deployment in Afghanistan, and I had a whole bunch of money because when you're deployed and you're not spending any money, you have the capital to try to start off with. So I was like, hey, I'm not working right now, and let's try to play poker. Let's start off at 1-2. Like, I can remember just like going online, just typing up like, hey, how do you act in a casino? Because I've never really been in a casino or a poker room up until that time. So it was just like, okay, all right, oh, okay, you're supposed to get your chips first, and this like real basic shit that I was just trying to look up, just like to try to be as familiar as possible with it.
Yeah. I mean, I shudder to think about my first time walking into the poker room, my $300 shaking in my hand as I hand it to the cashier at the cage, you know? Oh, man. But yeah, so what helped you advance in stakes? How did you
always good
from 1-2 post Afghanistan to now, 2-5 and 5-10? What was the process there?
It was a long and pretty painful process. So studying, at first I started with 2+2, just going on the forum just for free, just like, all right, all right, let's look at some hand history, okay, I can do this and do that. All right. And then it's just a matter of this bankroll manager, because I believe in like a couple years after that, I banked my first tournament. I banked my first like WPT for like 10K. Like I made it to day 3. Got knocked out by a pretty well-known player, so I wasn't too mad at that. And then not knowing bankroll manager, I was like, all right, I'm ready for 2-5, and then damn near dumped the bankroll. So it took a couple times just to. Because so it was a slow and pretty painful process just to do both, and just like, all right. And then after I banked a couple tournaments, and I finally jumped to 2-5, I was like, all right, I actually have an upswing now, and I can actually stay at 2-5 now.
There you go. Okay. That's an interesting way to change the stake. I really hope to God that I get a tournament bank at some point that rockets me up to 2-5 in bankroll one day.
You've got to play the bigger buy-in tournaments, Ryan, to get there. But
that's true. I'm grinding the micros.
It was
now.
10K. That's awesome. Exactly.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's good to hear people's poker origins. My Wi-Fi is so bad. Ryan, I am actually going to refresh. Yeah, you can continue with your next question.
Yeah, you're good. You can refresh. That's totally fine. What's up, Dave? It's just you and me. Poor guy can't figure out how to make the internet work. So obviously, you are an incredibly accomplished tournament player with over $200,000 in live tournament cashes, like we were talking about. And do you get more enjoyment out of the tournament scene or the cash scene? So is 2-5 more your preferred thing, or would you prefer to be a tournament grinder?
Oh man, I actually get that question a lot, and I think I see myself more as a cash game player, because that's what I do about 80% of the time. Like every day, pretty much. But for me, like, I don't like day ones of tournaments, but when I get to like day 2 and day 3, it's like, oh, okay, I get in a good mood. Like, yeah, day one just seems so tilting for me. So I'll take cash games and then late stage tournament.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's a good answer.
Yeah.
For
The
sure.
early stages of the tournament are where you make your money, but they're also the most brutal.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, pretty much.
So our next question is: you finished second place, just shy of World Series of Poker bracelet in 2019. What was it like to get so close to the bracelet, and has it inspired you to double down on winning one?
Oh, so yeah, that was a circuit. Yeah, that was a circuit event, and it wasn't the main. That wasn't the main event. That was the first buy-in. It was like a $400 buy-in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and so I didn't get a chance at the ring. But that was my first time playing heads up. So I wasn't aware of like ranges and stuff. I think I ended up stacking up.
Wait. That was your first time playing heads up?
Yeah, that was my first time playing heads up in an actual tournament. So
wow, that's awesome! Holy crap! How'd that go?
Well, I came in second, so I didn't do too well. But
That's fair.
Like I ended up stacking off pocket 2s against 7s all in pre, and then that's how I ended up losing. So one of those things like, oh, okay, I can't stack off with pocket 2s all in pre. It's like, all right.
How many bigs was it for, out of curiosity?
I think it was about 40 bigs effective, give or take. I don't remember the exact stacks. I don't remember the exact stack sizes, but we were pretty even in chips, give or take. But that guy was so hot throughout the final table. So yeah, kudos to him.
Yeah.
So,
happens.
I mean, really, very much so, the pandemic couldn't have come at a worse time for you, because at the end of 2019, you were fresh off of 2 of your biggest cashes ever. So,
yeah,
how did the pandemic affect your poker goals, and has it helped your game at all now that you're returning to live play in the tournaments?
I think I used the pandemic to kind of read up and study a little bit more. Like sometimes we just grind and grind and grind and grind. And we forget to like take an hour a day to study or 30 minutes here. So usually when I start a session off, I'll probably just watch a little 5-minute video here or do a quiz here or something just to kind of warm up. But throughout the pandemic, it was like, all right, I'm able to study a little bit more. Like I kept myself busy with the guards and stuff because, you know, Florida guard was doing a lot of good stuff in COVID, and I was able to jump on that. So money wise, I wasn't hurting too much. So, but it was kind of a momentum killer because I was like, hey, I was actually running pretty good. Like I came in, like I had a second place, then 11th place in the main event, then first place, and so I felt like it could have stopped me a little bit. But now that I'm back, it's like, okay, I was up. Now we're kind of feeling a little bit of the downswing here. So we just have to keep grinding.
And speaking of
well,
that,
hopefully,
do you have the guitar still? Did they give you that guitar? I saw that in the picture.
Yeah.
Please tell me they gave that to you.
Yes, I still have it. I have it somewhere in my living room.
That's awesome. Go ahead, Bryce.
That's awesome. Completely forgot what I was going to say, but I'll move on to the next question, I guess. So we've discussed this before, and in your bio, it says that you work for Uncle Sam once a month. What exactly is it that you do for them? And I think poker players often forget their tax obligations. How stupid is dodging the tax ban for people pulling in significant income? We're having Ray Conler on the podcast, who is a poker CPA. So I think it's pretty relevant to bring up.
Okay, so Uncle Sam, that's me working for the Florida Army National Guard. You know, the 1 week in a month, 2 weeks out the year. So, and that's probably the only time I don't play poker is when I'm away from drill. So so when I do go to drill, it's a much needed break for me. Now, as far as paying, so as far as paying the taxes, I pay my taxes, so no one's knocking at my door, so I'm all right there.
Yeah. You're a smart man. I actually thought you meant you worked for the IRS when you said you worked for Uncle Sam.
Oh no! Just
yeah.
Just work.
Yeah, that's what inspired the question. Not yeah. That makes sense. Ryan, you want to go ahead? I am refreshing again. My Wi-Fi is the worst it's ever been.
Yeah. You were recently honored with the 2019-2020 Seminole Hard Rock Player of the Year Award. What did this award mean to you? Was it a goal of yours to achieve it, or did it just happen as a result of running good towards the end of 2019?
It was a little bit of both. Like, I did not set out to be like, hey, I'm going to be Hard Rock Player of the Year. And the Run Good started with that $400 event. Like, oh, I got 40K. Let me go enter the main event. Oh, I came in 10th and I got points. All right, let's go to Tampa. Oh, shit, I won Tampa. All right, let's run for the thing now.
So it's a points trophy based off of your placements in all the different
main events
over the course of the year?
It's from September to August. Wow. It's each of the main events. So like all the side events that it has don't count. So only main events you can get points for. Wow.
That's crazy. So how much did you win it by? It must have been a pretty large margin considering you were final tabling.
I think I had like a 50-ish point lead, give or take. And then the pandemic hit and they didn't cut the series short. So I ended up taking it home because I was ahead at the time. It would have been really close because my schedule was going to conflict for the last few events. So I would have only been able to play like one more event. No, so it's good that it.
I'm assuming it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm assuming in addition to the trophy, there was also a monetary prize as well, right? I know that a lot of series offer monetary prizes for the top few people. Was there also that prize as well?
Not a monetary prize per se, but I do get six main event tickets. as a free roll. So the first one was in Tampa in December. Then I got the Hard Rock Lucky Hearts Poker Open main event in January. Now this coming up month in this series, I'll be able to jump into the 3,500, and then I get like
I will see you there.
Yeah. Then I get like one more in the summer, and then there's like the 5K.
Wow. So wait a minute. All in, that's like
sounds like a pretty good free roll.
Upwards close to $10,000 in buy-ins that they gave you.
Yeah, it's usually a lot more.
More than that.
They have more series, but they cut it short. So I got like a prorated.
So I got like a prorated. Got shorted here a little bit. Had it not been a pandemic year, you would have gotten
the whole thing. Yeah,
that's so cool. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. That's so cool that they do that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations again on that. Our next question is, I'm sure you have frequented Vegas and many other poker cities before. How would you describe the Florida action comparatively?
Oh, man. Actually, I think I've only, believe it or not, I've only been to Vegas once. So I've pretty much just stayed in Florida. Like, I kind of made it my goal is like, all right, let me just grind up. And like, when I want to go to Vegas, I want to be able to go to Vegas and not feel like I might go broke. So I've kind of stayed in Florida. So if you looked at my Hendon mob, everything is within the state of Florida, within like the two or three casinos that I frequent. So, but that is a goal of mine.
That's quite impressive.
It is a goal of mine to eventually make it out to Vegas. That way I don't to have the bankroll to be like, all right, let's fire it up here. So in comparison, like, I guess, depending on which casinos you go to, like in the Hard Rock, it's a little bit more grinders than say, Tampa Hard Rock and kind of like Coconut Creek per se. But it's still probably a little softer than Vegas, where most of the grinders are probably at Vegas, and you have a whole bunch of casinos there.
That's totally fair.
Good answer. So, yeah, I have not had the opportunity to play all too much in Florida, so definitely looking forward in a few weeks to mixing up in 2-5 as well as playing the WPT event. But yeah, good to know. I did not know that you had mainly just stayed in Florida. You very much stay true to the Florida grinder, Florida crusher name.
Yes, sir. I love that.
Yeah.
So while we still
do you want to close this out, Ryan?
Now, while we still have you on here, I'd love to transition and show you just one of these interesting hands. Bryce had himself a pretty unique spot in a Texas game. And I'm going to ask you to think a little bit more on the side of how we're going to get value from a maniac. So we'll pull up the hand history here.
Oh, wow. Wait, Ryan, I sent you a hand that was his hand.
Oh, I apologize. I did not mean to do that.
Did we input that?
No, I did not. So we're going to cover
yours. Do we have that one?
No, we don't.
Oh, no. He's going to think I'm a psycho. This hand is totally not indicative of how I play.
Bryce is a bit of a donk.
All right, there we go. All right,
look, don't worry, Bryce. The title of this hand is No One Folds in Texas.
No one folds.
Okay. Well, this is going to look really bad.
Well, Bryce, do you want to give us some context so it doesn't look as bad?
Yeah. So the maniac that I've played with before has done some absolutely batshit things. For example, an old man coffee raised from early position to 15, and he bumped it up to, I believe, around 50. And the flop comes king, queen, 5, 2 diamonds. Old man coffee checks. He jams 6x the pot. He puts 600 into 100. Old man coffee tank calls with pocket queens, obviously the second nuts, and it goes runner diamonds, and he had aces and wins and scoops. Another hand, I said, sir, it's your action. He goes, I don't like the way you said that. Bumps it up to 55, and a small stack jams for 100, and we get to see his hand, and he had 5-8 suited. So that's a little background on this specific player. So just an absolute maniac. So I'll preface that before we get into the hands.
I love that.
Yeah. All right, let's see what happens.
So here we go. Our dear friend, the maniac, limps from under the gun 1. Bryce is here with the ace.
Oh, he was also V-pipping 95%. 95%.
Like calling, like raising it all.
Yeah, that's what maniacs do. Yeah,
exactly.
Yep,
so
exactly.
We're gonna make a raise here up to 17. As you guys can see, we are mega super duper deep here. So this raise is perfectly fine and standard. We get a call from a late position. Folds back around to our maniac, who puts in the back min raise to 34, facing a raise and a call. This is a unique play, I would say. And now, Bryce, you're faced with the decision here between flatting and 4-betting. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, I'm considering a 4-bet, but he's such a maniac that I kind of don't want to bloat this pot unnecessarily, because I think he's going to put a lot of money in regardless of what the hell he has. And ace-deuce suited isn't necessarily the premiumest of premiums. So I'm happy to play a pot against him in position for just $17 more.
With the suited ace, we got plenty of good implied odds here. I totally agree with you. We opt to put in the flat, and the cutoff comes along as well. We head to the flop of king, deuce, deuce. Pretty nice for the old ace deuce here. Under the gun one decides, our maniac decides in true maniac fashion to donk. Well, I mean, this isn't a donk. He did take the betting lead by raising, but he leads out for 100 here into you. We're still super deep. We've got like 10 times the pot back in stacks. What are you thinking here?
I think he can literally have any two cards, but I expect him a lot of the time to have a king, a lot of the time to have a flush draw. I honestly don't think he literally ever has kings or aces, because I think he makes it massive pre-flop based on seeing how he played premiums, especially against me. The history we have against each other is we just play massive pots against each other. So when he leads here, while there's also a player behind me, I don't think I necessarily I could protect against the flush draw, but my plan and intention is to check raise the turn, or not check raise the turn, just raise the turn. I think I could be raising this flop some percentage of the time, but I think he just has way more kings here and way more stronger kings, and I shouldn't have all too many twos here. Obviously, I have the ace-2 suited, ace-2 off sometimes, but I think just looking to flat here is the move, and to reevaluate and look to probably put in some more money on the turn.
That's interesting. Dave, do you think any differently here? Would you opt to put it in a raise?
I mean, it's fine raising. I probably just flat there. I'll probably just flat there because it's a 3-bet pot, so it shouldn't be too many flush draws, but he is a maniac, so he can definitely have something like 7, 8.
Oh, he can have any two. Oh, he can have like 9-3 suited here. Like when I tell you maniac, he can have anything. But yeah, I like to flat.
Yep.
Bryce likes to put in the call, and the cutoff puts in the fold. Turn brings in the clubs, and under the gun maniac bets 400. Oh boy. So now we've just gone full pot over bet pot in a limp re-raise pot with the maniac, and we have trip deuces here. What is the play, Mr. Bryce?
Yeah, so I probably look like an absolute psycho here, but I really don't expect him to have the flush draw like that often. Obviously, he can have it a decent amount of times, but like Dave said, it is a 3-bet pot. And I honestly think if he had a nutted flush, he would absolutely go smaller than this. And the only hand that I'm really afraid of is a middling flush that wants protection against my very good kings that could potentially also have a club in hand. But I really just think so often he doesn't have it. And this player will call off truly with a king. And also, especially if he has a hand, if he has ace of clubs, queen of clubs in hand, he is maniac enough to call. If he has any deuce, he's calling. He's very capable of having deuces, even with me having ace deuce and only one other deuce being in the deck, and me also blocking ace deuce. But yeah, I decided to do a absolutely batshit crazy play and rip it in his face. How horrible do you think this play is, Dave?
Yeah, Dave, what's your take here?
That's not too bad, man, because I'm not folding the deuce. So
you want protection. You want protection against the clubs. Yeah, if I'm deciding to continue in this hand, which I think you have to, I'm looking to get protection in case he has ace of clubs, queen of clubs, jack of clubs, or just king X with the club in his hand. So I don't think it's horrible, but with the flush coming in, I mean, the good news is I don't think I'm ever dead here. Ever. I do not think he has pocket kings.
As long as you're not folding, yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And I think if I just call here, he also gives up on river, which I think is very important, unless he has a hand like queen deuce, jack deuce, and it's a brick river, no club. Because and still, even then, that's a pretty light jam, and he might just elect to check call there. But yeah, I decided to put in his face, and the villain says, "I'll pay you off," and flicks in the call.
So I think right before we see what the villain's hand is, I think it's just important to really focus on what Bryce said about how this is really going to get value from a maniacal player like this, who's capable of calling you with the king, who's capable of just calling you with the club. That this is a spot where we absolutely 110% want to get it in here, because he's not going to be an old man coffee who's only going to show up with the flush here. He's an actual certifiable maniac. It is 100% worth it to jam it in here. Sometimes you will lose.
Play the player. Right. Exactly. So we flick in the call, and I do not see his hand, obviously. We do not flip over until the river, and the river is a 3. And villain has 6 deuce offsuit, and we chop this $2,400 pot.
Oh, yikes. We were thinking we were calling for a paired board before, and now we're like, nope, we weren't calling.
I mean, honestly, when he called, I thought I'm ahead there the vast majority of the time. When he tank called, well, not tank call, but he took like 40 seconds. But he didn't snap me off, so I thought I had the best hand. But I did not think the 3 was a bad card for me, because I don't think he's just calling me off with like a 3 and lets us like ace 3 with the ace of clubs, but still that's pretty freaking loose.
That's an exact
but yeah, so a little unideal of a river card. Appreciate your insight on the hand, Dave. Sorry that we did not input your hand into today's podcast, but we will input your hand into next week's and go over it. So I'll be sure to send you the episode so you can hear our thoughts. But thank you so much for coming on and taking 30 minutes out of your day to talk with us. Very much enjoyed interviewing you.
Yeah, man, no problem.
Sorry for my horrible Wi-Fi. But look forward to meeting you in a few weeks. Maybe you can grab lunch together or something out at the main. Yeah, good luck crushing the Florida scene, and have a good rest of your session tonight.
Yep, just trying to take it one hand at a time, man. Take care.
Yes, sir.
We'll you too, buddy.
Good luck.
All righty.
Wow. What a fabulous guest we just had there. I apologize.
I did not expect to go over that. Yeah, all good. We will certainly go over his hand next week. But all right. So I do not know what hand this is. As always, I try not to look at the hands before the podcast. Let's see what Ryan is doing. Am I in this? I'm assuming I am.
I don't know if you were at the table yet. I think this was.
Oh, before I got there?
Right. I think it was very early on.
It was last week, when I was on the podcast. Gotcha. Oh, make sure to check out Poker Flops. I recently guest appearanced on their podcast. It is out, I believe, on all platforms. It's on YouTube. It is on Spotify, etc. It's an awesome interview. Very excited for our collaboration, and there's more news to come around that. Very excited to release that. Stay tuned.
And on my side of the house with Poker Flops, go ahead and check out Team Poker Flops on Twitch. Every Tuesday, Poker Police and I have been streaming ACR and Poker Stars tournaments on their site. It's been quite fun doing it with another person. It makes life so much easier. It makes it so much more fun. So go ahead and check those 2 things out. Big shout outs to Poker Flops. They've been helping us out a ton as of late.
Absolutely.
But here we are in this hand. We got the old 10-9 off in the big blind. Folds to the button who opens to 6. We get a flat from the small blind. And here, I think it's a pretty easy spot just to put in the flat call. 5-handed, I think this is fine. I think even full ring, this is fine just because it's 3 people. Very, very loose ranges here. 10-9's going to play pretty...
You should be calling this.
Offsuit variety post-flop. What'd you say? I shouldn't be or I should be?
You should no, you should be calling this. It's just easy.
This should be pretty automatic, essentially.
Yeah.
We flick in the call. And we flop ourselves an open ender on Jack
One of the
4.
best flops for our hand. Absolutely.
Yeah, for exactly 10-9 offsuit with the 10 of diamonds, this is probably as good as you can ask for.
So I'm absolutely positive you're checking this flop. Oh, what the hell?
100%.
Interesting.
That flop.
Yeah, I think especially against Jim Cross, I'm just gonna put in the analysis for you. Jim Cross is a pretty damn tight player. I don't think we should be folding this hand. I think he has a ton of 2 pairs. I think he has sets of 4s, sets of 8s. I think I think Jack 8 or set of 4s is what I'm putting him on. I honestly don't even think he would do this with a hand like Ace Queen with the Ace of Diamonds. Something as strong as that. So I think we're calling because our implied odds, if we do hit, we are getting stacks. So yeah, we're just gonna flick in the call here. That's it. You can give me your side of your now. What the hell? No, you did not.
Yes, I did. I opted to.
No, you did not. Okay, I don't think it's horrible against. I don't think it's horrible, but I don't think it's bad against a standard player, especially if it was the button deciding to bet this. I would absolutely look to raise this flop at some frequency. But considering it's this tight of a player, I think that you're going to make the SPR pretty weird on the turn. And if he has a hand like Jack 8, even 8-4, pocket 4s, he's not getting away from it. I do not see him bet folding this flop, like, ever. And we also block hands that might be betting for protection, like 9s and 10s, which, again, should be three betting pre-flop, but he's also capable of just flatting 9s out of the small blind because he's that tight. And we also block that. But, yeah, I don't really love this raise, to be honest with you, so I'd love to hear your logic.
That's really interesting. Yeah, I think now, thinking about that analysis, I was thinking about it more as a blind versus blind spot instead of with the button open in a small blind flat. And I think for that reason, that it's a button open in a small blind flat, that he has a lot of pocket 4s and Jack 8 when he donks lead into 2 people here.
A ton. I think he has a ton. Because
the thing is, like, what else and that's the real thing, is because we have 9-10, what else could he possibly have when we block the middling pairs?
The 10 of diamonds is a very important card that I haven't touched on yet. That blocks some flush draws. He'd be looking to do this, especially flush draw plus backdoor straight draw. If he had a hands like Ace 10 without even a flush draw, or if he did that, I don't know.
This raise becomes a little bit more reasonable if we have 10-9, no diamond in hand.
Yes, I agree. I do think that.
I see what you're saying. We block the diamond draw we want.
I think this is too loose, especially given SPR.
Okay.
I think you're getting it. Yeah.
Because I was really curious about how this goes. You're going to see, we end up getting the call.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think he's ever folding. That's a really, really good card for you.
So, and I mean, that was the thing, was when I made that raise on the flop, I made it with the intention of whether or not the nut card for me comes a diamond, I'm going to jam turn if he checks to me. If he donk leads twice, then it becomes kind of a weird situation.
You're going to jam turn for almost 2x pot. Ballsy, but I like it because otherwise.
What do you mean? I'm not jamming for 2x pot. I have.
Oh, he has 139.
138 in the pot. It's like a little bit more than pot, but he has 139 back.
So I'm jamming for 185. I didn't see your stack size. Completely reasonable. I assumed you were deeper than this.
Right. And that was really the intention
completely
of the raise. And I think maybe that's the problem with my thought process, was that I was putting in that raise, obviously with the intention of jamming on only those particular
Which I
cards.
hate, because I think he's calling you off.
Right.
Obviously on this card, it worked out for us, but I think he's calling you off 90% of the time. This player specifically as well. Because if he has even a hand as weak as 8-4 offsuit, I think he's calling you.
Yeah, and I totally agree.
I'm not saying is the right call, but while he is tight, he gets sticky once he flops well.
That's very true.
Which I think is very important.
When you can get 3 streets out of with strong hands. I totally agree.
Obviously, I am hand analyzing this based on my previous history with him. I think I would be speaking a little bit of a different tune had I not known this player. But I don't know what happens here.
He checks. We go ahead and stick it all in. And I don't think that's terrible.
No, we're sticking it in. When we check raise flop, we are sticking this in 100% of the time. Not only do we have the straight, but we also have the redraw to the flush. So if he does, I'm not. What are we afraid of? Like literally, what are we afraid of? The flush. Right. So like, I guess the redraw isn't even valid because if he has a set, like we're already ahead of him. So like, we're not. I'm not really worried.
So he does end up.
We should have the best hand. That's not ideal, but okay.
I thought his hand was particularly interesting. Called me off with ace jack.
Yeah. I don't like his sizing on the flop because I think if we just have a shitty flush draw, if we have a hand like, I don't even know what hand to say. Let's just say we decide to defend with like 9-5 of diamonds. Are you even calling a pot bet from Jim Cross? I don't think I am.
So say that again for me.
Let's say you have 9-5 of diamonds and he pots the flop. Are you even calling? Are you peeling one? Obviously, you're not going to call a turn if he barrels massively. But do you even want to see a turn if he pots it with 9-5 of diamonds?
No, if he pots with 9-5 of diamonds, no.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. I really don't like his flop bet. Yes, he's betting for protection, which I don't think is absolutely awful. You can bet, but bet like 2/3, even 3/4. Potting it, yes, you're giving your opponent a bad price, but unless they're just absolute donkeys, like they're not going to put it in with just a flush draw. And like equity wise, like if they're calling you, you're probably not in amazing shape, and you're also playing it out of position. So if an overcard rolls off, whether it be a queen or a king, yes, you pick up maybe some backdoor straight potential or whatever, but like an overcard is hella scary, and I guess that's why he's betting for protection or whatnot. But yeah, I don't really like how this hand was played by either party. I obviously your turn is a mandatory jam. I am not questioning that whatsoever.
That was really
it is just the flop. I think against turn you're jamming. I'm like not even thinking about it. Like that's 100% of the time I'm jamming this turn. It's just flop. I would not look to raise that at that high of a frequency. Although it's interesting because if you're at all worried about the button, yes, you are isolating him, which might be good, but you're isolating him, which do you ever think you have the best hand here? I think the answer is no, but do you think you ever get him off his hand on the flop? I think the answer to that is also no. Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what we need to address because I do not think he's folding. And I think if we're raising with the intention to jam turn, we want to have the best hand. If we don't have the best hand, we want to have a shit ton of equity. Yeah. And we don't have a shit ton of equity. We have, obviously, perceptively eight outs. But, like, yeah, that's...
Dude. Okay, that's really good. I really appreciate that analysis. That makes a whole butt ton of sense.
Yeah.
If you're learning something from this video, go ahead and, hit the subscribe button. Maybe hit Bryce up in the DMs if you've got a hand that you think you played poorly. Because he'll
or if you played well, just shoot us your hands.
Fun one here. Benny Stacks makes questionable decisions. What else is new?
Hey,
yeah, we got our boy Benny Stacks.
Yeah, I'm interested in going over his tournament hand that we discussed already at length in our chat today.
Yes.
I think we might have time actually after this hand if we want to go over it, but let's get into it.
So we get a raise under the gun to 13 from a person who described it as a pretty tight passive player. Folds around all the way to our friend in the big blind with Queen Jack offsuit. Now we're 100 big blinds deep. Facing an under the gun open from a tight passive player, I actually prefer a fold here with Queen Jack off.
I agree.
I think with the suited variety, 100%. And in fact, the solver is going to tell you to call with a lot of suited hands. So the solvers are going to tell you to call with like King 6 suited plus. They're going to tell you to call with like Queen 6 suited plus. But they're going to tell you to fold these offsuit connectors. They're going to tell you to fold.
We are dominated. We are dominated just way too much of the time. I prefer a call with 5-6 of diamonds way much more than Queen Jack offsuit. It can get us in a ton of trouble. And also considering the SPR, if we were like 1,500 deep, a call here is fine.
Yes.
Even though we could be dominated, we have a lot of straight potential as well as the ability to flop 2 pairs, etc. Just considering how shallow we are, I look to fold this like the vast majority of the time, facing it under the gun raise. If it was the cutoff raising this, yeah, we could flick in a call, maybe even think about a 3-bet. But facing it an under the gun open, I just look to fold. I agree with you.
And this is where a lot of people have very interesting leaks in their game, is in defending the big blind. And it's not even about...
Not only that...
My point is that they are not calling with those suited hands that they should be defending, like the king 6 suited, and they are defending hands like queen jack offsuit, and that is losing you a lot of money in the long run, which I didn't realize until only a few months ago, and that has been helping me immensely and saving me a lot of money.
Yeah, Broadway cards look good, or they see an ace and they're like, I have ace 7 off, let's defend. No. Deuce 3 suited is a better defend than ace 7 off. Like, not a question. So yeah, I just think people don't necessarily understand how they could be dominated and how that affects them and how much money that can lose them over the course of the long run. Because you could just be in such sticky situations. But yeah, let's see a flop. I guess
we do.
I'm assuming that's what happens. This would be a very boring hand analysis if we tried to
hold it right
in the big one. So let's see what happens.
And we flop pretty decently well, I'd say. This is an okay flop for us.
All right,
we're checking here 100% of the time. I don't think there's any ifs, ands, or buts about that. This guy has literally all 100%. Of these great hands. We want him to bet.
Also, we labeled him as tight passive, which is important as well. Like, if he was loose passive, a call's a little better. Tight passive makes it a mandatory fold in my book. So when he bets 11 into 27, obviously we have a very good hand. I think on this specific board dynamic, even containing the jack of diamonds, which blocks some flush draws, I am looking to raise here probably about 85% of the time. And reason being is we have more 2 pairs than him. We have the 9-10s, the king 10s, the king 9s, as well as having
pocket 9s.
I mean, he can have queen jack as well, the queen jack suited. So we also have pocket 9s. And I think we could even flat pocket 10s here, a decent amount of the time facing a under the gun type player. Yeah, we could 3-bet sometimes, but I think a flat's fine if they're hella tight. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking to raise this and get some more money. And there are so many hands that he could call us with. Ace king, pocket kings, aces, king queen, king jack. He could have a ton of hands that have pair plus straight draw. He could have ace queen of diamonds, which is never ever going away. Like, there are just so many holdings that he's not folding that we not only want to get value from, but that we also want to protect against. So I'm absolutely raising this flop the vast majority of the time. And I actually think that he's probably going to do so. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, he does have to put in just the call. And for all of those reasons, it really is meant to be a raise. And you're missing out on a whole lot of value here. Because one of the things that you described in one of the things that he talked about in this hand history was that he was concerned about a diamond rolling off. Well, that is the definition of your hand wanting some kind of protection. And the only way to get that protection is to raise here. So, taking the passive line in this hand is really not a good idea. When we flop the straight against an under the gun opener on a 2-diamond board, it's time to get aggressive. There's no slow playing here. So, I mean,
I think also before we see a turn, I think that if we are going to be balanced, I think so many players actually, like decent players that I know, are more likely to re-raise like flush draws than they are the nuts. They want to slow play it. They want to be like, haha, I want you to hang yourself. Which is so weird because when they raise, I actually learn after like playing a ton of hands with them that they're doing this more so that they're draw heavy, not that they're nutted. So just having that information is just so exploitable. And obviously this is just one hand, and I can't speak. I don't think you necessarily do this all the time, but I do think that you let players hang themselves a lot. But I think facing a tight passive player, if he absolutely just has air here, if he just somehow has pocket eights, he's just going to shut down. And if he actually has a hand, we want to be building a pot, and we want to be building a pot now. Like you said, you're afraid of the diamond draw. We want protection against that. So yeah, I do not like the flat call here, and I'm assuming some diamond or some BS or the board pairs or something like, or this just wouldn't. Yeah, like
yikes. So the queen of diamonds.
Like now, what do you do?
Right, and I mean, I think that really is his question here. So now, what do you do? He opts.
I'm betting. I want to hear your thoughts first. I probably shouldn't have even said mine. What are you doing? I'm 100% betting.
I guess because the queen of diamonds is out there and we possess the jack of diamonds, it makes it much more likely that he has a hand like ace king with the ace of diamonds, or just some ace of diamonds.
Yeah, is that not even that? There is a 4-liner to the straight. We have way more jacks than him. Even if he has pocket kings, pocket queens, king, queen, he is checking this turn, and that is why. Even like we possess the jack of diamonds, he cannot check raise this turn unless he has a flush. Even if he has a jack, unless he has ace jack with the ace of diamonds, he is not raising this turn. I am betting this 100% of the time. Like not even 90, not 85, like 100% of the time I'm betting this turn. And I'm glad he decided to bet. His sizing is, I actually think, pretty good, because I think Villain can possess a lot of king queens, even sets of kings, sets of queens, just so many hands. And also we want protection against the ace of diamonds. And yeah, he has a lot of, I don't know how many flushes he does have here. A tight passive player, I don't know how often I know a lot of tight passive players who will just fold their ace, deuce, ace, real suited aces, which is nutso. But under the gun, I know a lot of tight passive players who do that. Like, yeah. But, yeah, so I am absolutely betting this turn.
That's really interesting. Okay, I really like your analysis of that turn.
Even though I got a little rambly. But I'm absolutely betting.
Given the check call on the check call on the flop, that's why I found this turn lead to be particularly interesting. Because I totally can get behind this lead if we had raised flop. But I mean, now I get what you're saying.
No, we can have Jack 10, Jack 9. We have so many jacks. He has ace jack, pocket jacks, king jack suited, 10 jack suited, but like we possess more jacks. Yeah,
right.
Yeah. No,
just
you're good.
Because we didn't raise the flop, the under the guns range is still the uncapped range. They're still the aggressor. They were still the pre-flop aggressor. They were still the flop aggressor. We have yet to be the aggressor. So their range is technically still uncapped. And that was my mistake in thinking about it that way. So I like the turn lead as well. And we end up getting raised.
I think he's going to call. If he raises, this is just puke. This is puke. This is absolute puke.
Yeah, so I mean, what are you doing here? Are you just stacking off? I mean, this is such an awkward raise sizing too, because you can't call 80. There's going to be 200.
Honestly, I'm folding.
There's going to be 300 in the pot. You're going to have 200.
I'm folding.
You're folding?
I'm folding. I just think that he doesn't have that many bluffs here. And even I think literally at worst he has ace jack. At worst, I cannot see a worse hand that isn't like ace king with the ace of diamonds, unless he possesses the ace of diamonds, which I don't expect him to be doing this with the offsuit variety, unless it's an ace king, ace queen, ace jack with the ace of diamonds. Because he's not going to raise, I don't think, like the ace 5 offsuit, the ace 4 offsuit. And like ace 10 offsuit is like the very rock bottom, I think, of tight passive under the gun range.
Yeah.
So just based on that, yeah, we could be being bluffed sometimes, but also given our SPR, we can't really call. Like, I guess we can, but like, are we going to fold if a non-diamond rolls off?
Right.
Are we going to fold if a diamond rolls off? I think the answer is no. So we are making a decision for our entire stack. We only have like $55 in right now. Like, why put in another 236 when I think we are? I think I like less than 10% of the time. I think we can win this hand, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
While he can just be bluffing with the ace of diamonds, like ace king, ace queen, some wild bluff, I think this is a flush or ace jack at worst. And we also obviously block the straight. I think this is incredibly flush heavy, but I just do not think we are good. And I will be disappointed in him if he calls.
Well, you're going to be really impressed with him because he does end up putting in the fold. And that's why he brought this hand here. And that's so interesting because on its face, when I first saw this hand, I didn't like the way he played it because I was like, oh man, I would have raised flop. And then when the turn came, I was trying to think of if I had raised flop and then I would have led this turn card as well. And then I probably would have been raised all the same. And I probably still would have come to the same conclusion. So I guess
I actually disagree. I don't know. It depends on our sizing.
Right.
So if he bet 11, I think we need to go big on flop. I'm talking like 45. So let's assume that we make it 45 and have 230 behind. Now there's 130 in the pot. If we then lead, what are we leading for? Like 65? I think we might actually have to call off based on stack sizes. So while I think we might be behind like so often, like I don't know if he even calls though. Like I don't know. It depends how big we go on flop. But I actually disagree. We might just be priced in to the point, depending on our sizing on turn, that we might have to call.
Have to just call off, yeah.
But given how the hand was played, we have to fold.
What an interesting spot. If you've got another puker of a spot, please drop it in the comments below. Send it to DM it to Bad Beat Bryce or the All In Poker podcast or at Ryan the Rock Poker. We're all over the social media game right now. Go ahead and hit us up on there. Please, 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 please be sure to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We are really excited about the content that we're going to be pushing out coming forward and our partnership with Poker Flop. So please, please, please stay tuned, stay in queue with us, shoot us some messages. We love having you out here. Bryce, you got anything else for these people?
Absolutely. If you guys want to join our Zoom games, we host them on Wednesday. Host games on Wednesday and Sunday. Sunday, the Sunday Deep Stack, which is a ton of fun. Only a $25 buy-in, which is just a good time. And even if you don't even want to play Wednesday, if you just want to come hang out with us, feel free. We love interacting with you guys. It's a good time. Make sure to shoot the hand histories in. I know I mentioned it probably every single episode.
Yeah.
I will be out in Florida from the 22nd to about the 29th or 30th. If you would like to get together, feel free to hit me up. I would love to get together with you guys, whether it be grinding a session or grabbing a beer. Would be an amazing time. I know a lot of you guys are out there grinding in Florida. So feel free to hit me up, Bad Beat Bryce on Instagram. Make sure to subscribe to Ryan's recently-ish Instagram. Ryan the Rock, I believe, is your handle.
Yeah, Ryan the Rock.
But yeah, make sure to, like and subscribe. We do not get enough subscriptions or likes on our videos considering the quality of our content. So make sure to just smash it. Send it to your friends. Send it to your poker buddies. And we will see you next week. Thank you again to Dave for coming on. I am sorry I sound so nasally. F my Wi-Fi. But that's it. We will see you guys next week.
Deuces.